We've worked with, many bands that lots of people would have heard of, anyone from Willie Nelson to Fleetwood Mac to, new up and coming pop stars like Harry Styles, Billie Eilish, Shawn Mendes.
Hey, thanks so much for checking out Earth Care. Today we're heading to Portland, Maine to catch up with Paige Roth, who is the manager of community and volunteer programs at Reverb, this organization that is using the power and influence of the music industry to drive environmental and social change. Now, as I record this, tours are being announced, tickets are being sold. It really does feel like concerts are back on the table. So we're gonna chat with Paige about the kind of work that Reverb does with artists and bands to create these greener tours, but also, as we return to concerts and festivals, how can we be more eco-friendly about it?
Paige Roth of Reverb. I have been giddy about this interview since we booked it because this really is my two worlds colliding. If you're watching, you might not know that my full-time job is in the radio industry, but specifically in the music department. So the music industry holds such a big part in my heart, and Reverb is doing incredible work in the music industry. Can you just start by giving a bit of a background on what Reverb is?
Absolutely. We get that same comment a lot and agreed. It really brings together a lot of my personal interests. So yeah, hi, thanks for having me. I'm Paige Roth from Reverb. So Reverb is an environmental nonprofit based in Portland, Maine that works in the music space. So we work to create environmental and social action programs for bands, tours, festivals, and venues. So we've worked with many bands that lots of people would have heard of, anyone from Willie Nelson to Fleetwood Mac to new up and coming pop stars like Harry Styles, Billie Eilish, Shawn Mendes, Tame Impala. As far as festivals, we've worked with Lollapalooza and California Roots and Levitate and Voodoo. So we've we've been a nonprofit for about almost 20 years now, and have really grown. And here we are today.
It is so inspiring to hear that. I mean, those massive names are on board and thinking in such a positive and forward-thinking way. I know we had mentioned Harry Styles in our email exchange. I was torn on whether to wear his sweater or not and like geek out about it, but I did go with a band tee just for the occasion.
Cool. So what band is it?
It's the Eagles.
Oh, nice. Very
from a
good
concert
choice.
I went to over 10 years ago. So it's fading, but it's
that's the best kind of shirt.
Exactly. Tells a story. So what kind of projects will you work on with these bands when you sign up for these tours and these festivals? Like, what are you doing to make it more eco-friendly?
Sure. So we have a two-pronged approach to our programming, really. We do a lot of what we call backstage greening. So we put sustainability practices into place backstage, doing things like sourcing biodiesel for trucks and buses, and sourcing local farm fresh food for catering, and making sure that there's recycling and composting whenever possible, and doing things like providing like reusable water bottles through our partnership with Nalgene. So like, here's a fish bottle that I've been using since we made this in 2015, and like a giant reusable fish coffee mug, battery recycling, making sure there's, natural cleaning products, all the kind of stuff that you kind of could think, if you can think of it, we try to make it happen backstage. But then the also really important thing that we do is putting together these fan-facing front of house programs through what we call our Action Village, which is like a series of, tents and tables that you would see at any festival out in the concourse, usually where people are buying their merch and their, concessions. And so we put together programs there to do outreach and education about environmental or social issues. We use that space to invite out other environmental nonprofits. We have, games and prizing, all kinds of different things to encourage fans to take action and find ways to be more sustainable in their life and support causes that their artists are interested in supporting. And that's all made possible through our fan volunteer program, which is a big part of my job. We invite fans to come out and volunteer with us before the show starts to get set up. And then, as people are coming in to activate these programs. So they're really helping us out. And they also get, a t-shirt to wear while they're volunteering, but then we break down before the headlining artists start, and they get a pass to watch the show. So it's it's very cool. It's very sort of everybody wins. We try to catch people when they're at a show and in a good mood, and use that as a platform to do some good for the environment and people too, people on the planet.
This is all so cool. I am just so happy that this exists. So
Right?
now, as we're talking, tours are being announced. I know you're in America where tours are happening. Like there are actually concerts there. I'm in Canada where they're just being announced slowly.
Sure.
So it does feel like things are happening and concerts are back on the table. What do you hope to see as artists return to the stage in terms of change? Like what do you want to be on their mind?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's something that we've been talking about a lot over the course of this pandemic, and that I've seen both artists and people who work, on the road, on crews, really talking about, like, we have this opportunity to hit reset. So how are we going to rebuild? And so we've seen a lot of really cool sustainability practices being implemented, not just in the live music world, but I'm sure you've seen, like, Lorde just announced or just dropped a new album, and she decided not to do any CDs. So she just put out these essentially little booklets made of paper that can be composted, that have lyrics and cool information and photos, and cards that you can download the music. Instead of creating CDs that will eventually, get worn out and go into a landfill. So that's like a great example. And yeah, we're seeing this idea of sustainability and social activism in music just becoming more and more popular all the time, which is exciting. And we're also seeing a move toward focusing on mental and physical health for the music industry as well, which is important. I know everybody kind of thinks of, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and like living this crazy hard lifestyle where you're not sleeping and, eating bad and drinking. So I think that they're really trying to clean that up and making sure that we all take care of each other as we, move forward into this new post-pandemic world.
Yeah, that's certainly a big takeaway from the last year, the past year and a half, I guess. Just take care of each other. So as we return to concerts, like as guests in the audience, concerts, festivals, what are some steps that we can take to be more eco-friendly about it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So many different things, like carpooling is super important. The emissions that it takes to travel to a show is something to really take into consideration. So if you can carpool or ride your bike or walk, always do that. We always recommend following venue safety rules and protocols, but if you can, bring your own reusable vessel instead of buying single-use plastic at a show. That is very important. I always recommend looking for, vegan or vegetarian options as far as concessions. I'm personally not a vegetarian, but I always do try whenever possible to, make a plant-based choice to help, reduce the impact of the food you're eating on the environment. We're also seeing more and more sustainable merch items. So t-shirts made out of recycled fabrics or organic fabrics, reusable water bottles, reusable bags. These are all becoming more and more popular in merch. So definitely, think about that. But yeah, single-use plastic is the big one. I think that we're all used to seeing that sea of plastic, across the floor when you leave a show or a field if you're at a festival, which is becoming less and less of a thing, but it's still there. We're all aware of it, right? So yeah, if you can reduce your single-use plastic use at a show, that's major. That would be the focus for me.
Yeah, we have work to do, but we have work to do at concerts that are back on the table. So this is all hopeful stuff.
Yeah, we like to say, we try to meet people where they are. We try to have everybody make small changes instead of, just having a few people make huge changes, because we aren't going to stop touring. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants concerts to go away. And the nature of flying and traveling and trucks and buses is that there will be waste and there will be carbon emitted. So, if we can put practices in place to really mitigate that and think about what we're doing, as we all grow and move forward through time, that'll really be beneficial to the planet and to future generations.